The F-16 Fighting Falcon flew for the first time 50 years ago. Its storied career includes a 76-1 air combat record. F-16s have struck an Iraqi nuclear plant, the Syrian Air Force, targets in Yugoslavia, the Iraqi military, and most recently Iran's Revolutionary Guards Corps. Osirak, 1981. In 1981, the Israeli government believed that the nuclear power plant at Osirak in Iraq was part of a secret program to develop nuclear weapons. The Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein had already displayed aggressive behavior by starting a war with Iran in 1980, making him an enemy of Israel. The Israeli officials feared that Hussein could not develop an atomic bomb under any circumstances. Therefore, they initiated Operation Opera, a long-range airstrike aimed at destroying the nuclear facility before it became operational. Operation Opera was launched on June 7, 1981, with 8 Israeli Air Force F-16s taking off from Etzion Air Base in the Sinai, escorted by F-15 Eagle air superiority fighters. A group of fighter jets went undetected as they flew at low altitude through the airspace of Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and finally into Iraq. Each F-16 aircraft carried 2 unguided 2,000-pound bombs, 2 air-to-air missiles, and extra fuel. The Israeli strike force caught the Iraqi defenders off guard and successfully destroyed the reactor by dropping 1 bomb on its dome before using the remaining bombs to inflict further damage. F-15 Eagle. On Valentine's Day 1991, during Operation Desert Storm, U.S. Air Force Captain Richard T.B. Bennett, piloting an F-15 Strike Eagle, and his weapons systems officer, Captain Dan Chewy Backey, were tasked with a Scud patrol mission. They were redirected to assist American Special Operations Forces under attack by Iraqi gunship helicopters. Bennett and Backey engaged and spotted 5 Mi-24 Hind attack helicopters targeting a Special Forces team 300 miles across the Iraqi border, aiming to prevent the Iraqi helicopters from cutting off and engaging the Green Berets from both air and land. Facing difficulty in securing a radar lock with their AIM-9 Sidewinder missiles, U.S. Air Force Captain Richard T.B. Bennett and his weapons systems officer, Captain Dan Chewy Backey, decided to engage a lead Iraqi Mi-24 Hind attack helicopter with a 2,000-pound GBU-10 laser-guided bomb during a mission to support Special Forces teams during Operation Desert Storm. Despite the helicopter taking off and reaching an airspeed of 100 knots, the bomb accurately hit its target, destroying the helicopter by penetrating through the rotor and cabin before detonating, resulting in a significant explosion that scattered debris in various directions. McDonnell Douglas's development of an air superiority fighter bore fruit in 1979 when an Israeli F-15A achieved the model's first air-to-air kill by downing a Syrian MiG-21. Over the years, pilots from Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the USA continued to demonstrate the F-15's dominance, accumulating 104 air-to-air victories without losing a single Eagle to enemy aircraft. The F-15's list of conquests includes various MiG models, Mirage F-1s, a transport plane, and an Iraqi attack helicopter, showcasing its broad combat effectiveness. The F-15's remarkable combat record is attributed to continuous upgrades, including the integration of a more advanced radar system and new Pratt & Whitney engines in the F-15C variant. Some models were equipped with a joint helmet-mounted cueing system, enhancing target acquisition speed. By 1986, the F-15E Strike Eagle variant was introduced, shifting focus from air-to-air dominance to medium-range precision strikes, capitalizing on the jet's range, speed, and ordnance capabilities. This positioned the F-15E alongside the B-1B Lancer as a key asset in America's military arsenal, taking over the precision strike role previously filled by the F-111 Aardvark. Lebanon, 1982. In 1982, the Israeli military conducted an invasion of Lebanon with the objective of destroying the Palestine Liberation Organization and other Palestinian terror groups that were stationed in the northern part of the country. This resulted in the Israeli military being involved in direct combat with the Syrian military, which had occupied the southern region of Lebanon. During the invasion, a fierce fight broke out between the Israeli Air Force and the Syrian Air Force. The Israeli forces were better trained, equipped, and directed thanks to the E-2 Hawkeye airborne early warning and control aircraft, and they quickly gained air superiority. In a matter of days, the Israeli fighter jets shot down a total of 85 Syrian aircraft without any air-to-air losses of their own. The Israeli F-16s were responsible for 44 of those kills with no losses on their side. E-2C Hawkeye. The E-2C Hawkeye is the U.S. Navy's primary carrier-based airborne early warning and command and control aircraft. The twin turboprop Hawkeye shares its basic airframe with the C-2 Greyhound, but is fitted with a 24-foot rotating radome housing an APS-145. Some have the APS-139 radar. The first aircraft to perform this mission was the Grumman E-1 Tracer, a variant of the S-2 Tracker anti-submarine aircraft, which saw service from 1954 to 1964. The E-1 successor, the E-2 Hawkeye, was the first carrier-based aircraft designed from the outset for the all-weather airborne early warning and command and control mission. Since replacing the E-1 in 1964, the Hawkeye has been the eyes of the fleet. Since its combat debut during the Vietnam conflict, the E-2 has served the Navy around the world. The current version of the Hawkeye, the E-2C, became operational in 1973 and surpassed 1 million flight hours in August 2004. The aircraft has undergone several upgrades to its active and passive sensors, engines, and propellers. The newest variant of the E-2C, Hawkeye 2000, with its new mission computer, improved radar displays, and cooperative engagement capability, CEC, combined with the shipboard Aegis weapon system, will form the cornerstone of future sea-based theater ballistic missile defense, TBMD. Its Airborne Tactical Data System, ATDS, consisting of an auto-detection radar, airborne computers, and a memory and data link system, is tied to the Naval Tactical Data System, NTDS, located at Fleet Headquarters, which gives an overall picture of the tactical situation. The E-2C's 24-foot revolving radar dish rotates at 6 revolutions per minute and can be retracted 2 feet to facilitate stowage aboard a carrier. The lift produced by the radar dish when the plane is in flight is sufficient to offset its own weight. The 5-man crew consists of 2 pilots and 3 equipment operators. They can monitor a large number of aircraft at any given time, directing strike aircraft to assigned targets in fair weather or foul, while maintaining a watch for hostile forces within the long range of their radar. Working as a team, the Hawkeyes surround the fleet with an early warning ring capable of directing air defenses against any enemy. The current model operating in the fleet, the E-2C, is equipped with radar capable of detecting targets anywhere within a 3 million cubic mile surveillance envelope, while simultaneously monitoring maritime traffic. Each E-2C also can maintain all-weather patrols, track, automatically and simultaneously, more than 600 targets and control more than 40 airborne intercepts. Advanced Hawkeye, AHE, the newest variant of the E-2 aircraft platform, is currently in development and scheduled to be introduced to the fleet in 2011. Using the E-2C Hawkeye 2000 configuration as a baseline, AHE will feature a state-of-the-art radar with a 2-generation leap in capability and upgraded aircraft systems that will improve supportability and increase readiness. Key AHE program objectives include improved battlespace target detection and situational awareness, support of theater air and missile defense (TAMD) operations, and improved operational availability. The AHE mission will be to provide advance warning of approaching enemy surface units, cruise missiles, and aircraft, to vector interceptors or strike aircraft to attack, and to provide area surveillance, intercept communications relay, search and rescue, and strike and air traffic control. 1980s Pakistan versus the Soviet Union. In 1979, the Soviet Union invaded and occupied Afghanistan, which put Pakistan in a vulnerable position. As a staunch ally during the Cold War, Pakistan shared a long border with Afghanistan, and it became a pathway for the Afghan resistance known as the Mujahideen to receive weapons. The Soviet occupation forces and Afghan air forces frequently operated near the border with Pakistan and sometimes even crossed it. In response to a situation, the Pakistani Air Force dispatched 2 squadrons of F-16 fighters to patrol the border with Afghanistan. During the mission, PAF F-16s shot down a total of 8 aircraft, comprising 7 ground attack aircraft and 1 transport aircraft. One of the Soviet pilots, named Alexander Rutskoy, was shot down twice, but he survived and later became the vice president of post-Soviet Russia. It is worth mentioning that no F-16s were shot down by Soviet and Afghan forces, although one was downed by friendly fire from another F-16. 1991 Gulf War. During the war in Kuwait and Iraq, the F-16 Fighting Falcon was used to launch a campaign against ground forces. The F-16 carried out combat operations for almost 13,500 hours, and its targets included military production and support facilities, chemical production facilities, and airfields. The F-16s used a variety of weapons to attack enemy troops, tanks, and armored vehicles, including the Maverick air-to-ground missile, M61 Vulcan cannon fire, cluster bombs, and unguided bombs. In total, the F-16s dropped 21,000 tons of bombs on strategic targets, which is more than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Unfortunately, 3 F-16s were lost during the war due to surface-to-air missiles and anti-aircraft guns. Syria and Ukraine, 2023 and beyond. On October 5th, a U.S. F-16 fighter jet shot down a Turkish drone that was flying over a U.S. base in northeast Syria. This incident was overshadowed by the events that occurred 2 days later. Furthermore, on October 27th, 2 USAF F-16s carried out airstrikes on 2 locations that were hosting Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps troops and their militias. These airstrikes were carried out in retaliation for a series of strikes against U.S. bases across the region. It's important to note that the F-16 fighter jet has been engaged in combat in the Middle East for over 42 years since the Osirak incident. Ukrainian Air Force pilots are currently undergoing training to fly F-16 fighter jets, which were donated by European countries. These jets will be the first Western fighter planes to be added to Ukraine's inventory, and their transfer will bring them in direct contact with the Russian Aerospace Force. The first Fighting Falcons and their pilots are expected to be prepared for operation by late spring or early summer of 2024. Their missions will likely include air-to-air combat, close air support of ground forces, and shooting down cruise missiles and drones. Come 40 years after its first flight, the F-16 remains a powerful fighter jet, with potential for even greater achievements in the future.